It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. Thanks for tuning in, being part of the show. Reminder, you can hear us in multiple places.
Just not tune in.
And so let me go through, count the ways of how you can tune in and follow this station without using TuneIn. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, the 106.9 The Fan mobile app, and 1069thefan.com. 1069thefan.com. All one word. And that's how you can listen to this station, our show, and other programs that happen on this station throughout the day. That's the best way, most sure way to listen to the show. And if you miss one of our shows, or that we've done, or in interviews with players or coaches that we've done, you can find past episodes also on our website, also on our mobile app, and other places where you subscribe to podcasts. And we make it available so you can listen on your time when it's convenient for you. But the tune-in thing is...
Working on it.
Yeah, we're still working on it. It's super frustrating for us. We're aware of it. But really, I mean, do us all a favor and avoid it if you can. It's better for us. It's better for you.
Some anti-tune-in stuff rolling in here.
Yes.
Understandably, though, sometimes. I do have a couple texts we want to get through. We were talking about the Skyline Conference, it dissolving in 8968. Texan says the year the old Skyline Conference basically dissolved, which obviously 1961 was the last year. Schools like Utah, BYU, Wyoming, Colorado State all got together and help form the old WAC. Utah and BYU got together with other schools and blackballed the Aggies, which, yeah, that's something that happened, and that's a can of worms we don't have time to get into today. The history of that and the ramifications, the long-term ramifications of that. But 9315, he texts in just as we were talking about the ways we can listen. He says, what about in-person listening to the fan? When can that happen? That might be a while.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll put video cameras in here, but the studio is not really conducive to putting video cameras in as is.
Well, we can. It is something that has been on our radar.
It's not really a good angle though.
Something that we want to do. You have to mount it.
Yeah, you'd mount it somewhere, but I don't know if there's a good angle to get.
Well, we were laying out plans to do a really significant remodel for our studios.
Oh.
And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And that really set us back on a couple of things.
Gotta crunch those budgets after that.
Yeah.
Then one more, and then we'll probably start to get into our NFL predictions. 5879 said, for the football Mountain West Championship journey, we need to outscore Air Force and beat Boise at home. At home? The Boise game is the biggest problem.
That game is Boise is.
Yeah, it's
at Boise.
Yeah, it's at Boise.
So it's at their home.
You do tend to need to outscore teams to beat them.
Yeah.
That's kind of a prerequisite.
Outscore Air Force. Yeah.
And beat Boise at home.
Boise in Boise. Boise is the biggest problem.
Yeah, that is true. Boise is the biggest conference problem. But
are they? I mean, they're in a shambles right now. They don't know who their quarterback is.
Yeah, that's true. So Air Force could end up being the biggest problem. But the weird thing is, the 2 times Utah State's appeared in the Mountain West Championship game, they lost to Boise that year.
Yes.
In both of those years, 2013 and this past year. They lost to Boise. Kind of badly, I think, in both years. Depends on what your definition of badly is for last year. But
yes, but they lost.
Yeah, that's what it mattered. So, yeah, That's the college stuff.
One last thing about college stuff. Let's give away some tickets to a college game.
Ah, yes.
Shall we? So Utah State is taking on Weber State this weekend. And we gave away some tickets just the other day.
I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was related to the Utah State-Weber State series. And this giveaway will be somewhat similar. So we have a pair of tickets to Saturday's game. And reminder, to win these tickets, you have to call the studio.
Yeah, and don't call the text line.
Right, they are different.
If you call a text line, it's just going to show up like, oh, somebody called, and then we'll ignore it.
We can't answer it. No.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do, so you need to call the studio phone line, which remind them what that is, because I can never remember for some reason.
435-752-1069.
I need to put that on a Post-it and stick it on my computer. That way I can remember it.
I should
actually do that during one of the breaks, because I have the text line on the computer. That's written there in front of me, but I don't have the phone line.
So here's what we're going to ask of you in order to win this pair of tickets. There are a number of connections between Utah State and Weber State. We've already talked about the Meacham brothers. There are a lot of players from inside the state playing it. They were on on similar high school rosters, and a lot of guys from in-state that'll be seeing the field together. But there are connections on the coaching staff as well. David Fiafia is a coach for Weber State. He is he's coaching for Weber State right now. He's on their sidelines. He's their tight ends coach right now. But when did he play at Utah State? He's a player who formerly played at USU. So if you can call in and correctly identify when David Fiafia was a standout football player for Utah State, we can get you some tickets to go see the Aggies take on Weber State. So he spent time as a graduate assistant, but he also played, and I'm looking for when he played. So when did David Fiafia play for Utah State? When was he a 4-year letterman for the Aggies?
So you got to give like a year range, or
if it's within that time, if you can mention a year.
One of the 4 years.
One of the 4 years when David Fiafia was a running back at Utah State, that would qualify.
So one of the 4 years where he did carries, he may have been here 5 possibly, if he redshirted. But we'll say one of the 4 years where he actually played for the team.
Yes.
Because there are 4 years in which he had carries for the team. His senior year was actually his most significant year. Fiafia had 967 yards his final year at Utah State. So, yeah, if you can guess one of the 4 seasons, his first year he played in 11 games. Well, they say he's a running back. He actually kind of started out as a wide receiver because his first year he caught 31 catches. He only had 3 rushing attempts. And then he actually ran the ball a bit more his 2 other years. And actually, fun thing, his senior year, he had 967 rushing yards, but also 310 receiving yards. So, kind of a dual threat running back, which they haven't rolled through Utah State very often. Kerwin Williams is another one. There's probably a few more. So he had 1,200 scrimmage yards his senior season, combined rushing and receiving.
Ooh, that is correct. That is right.
5338 texts in, says, isn't Gary Anderson also on Weber's staff in some type of advisory capacity? I think that may be correct. I can't remember for certain. But I feel like I remember that. Just him not necessarily maybe being an official assistant coach. But some kind of, some advisory capacity, as 5338 kind of mentions. I'm trying to do a quick Google search. Yeah, it actually looks like it's a 2021 article mentions Weber State bringing on Gary Anderson, but I don't know if he's still there. Yeah, so there's some 2021 articles. I could maybe try and, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not finding anything. So I don't know if he's still there. It did happen. Gary Anderson did go to Weber State in some capacity, but I can't say if he's still at Weber State. May have just been a one-year thing. I'm not sure. I believe we did have somebody call in, and I think they got the answer correct. We're going to wait for Eric to rejoin. He's still fielding some calls. Unfortunately, somebody got it correctly, and so some people who called after, just a little too late. Not quite on there. So yeah, the trivia question being when did David Fiafia play for Utah State, current coach on the staff for Weber State. Trying to name one of the years where Fiafia played, one of his 4 years. It was all after the year 2000. So it is somewhat recent. Within the last 22 years. And then obviously he had the one big year for Utah State where he was a big part of one of Utah State's teams. It was one of the 2 years they were in the Sun Belt. Let's see. I clicked on the wrong thing. I was trying to find the Utah State summary of that year. Yeah, so they had some of this history. My Utah State history knowledge of specifics doesn't go back super far. So when Eric brought him up, I was like, wait a minute, who? Because some of the other, good running backs for Utah State that I remember, they're, the Emmett Whites, the Robert Turbins, couple others that I'm suddenly blanking on their names. Some from the 90s. And then I recognized a few names from the 1960s because I was looking into some of those 1960s teams. It was like 2 years ago I looked into them. And so I remembered a few of the names. But Eric, you're back, and I believe somebody has won.
Yeah, these are hot items. So I'm sorry I had to leave you hanging there for a while.
No, I was able to mostly stumble through it.
Yeah, congratulations to Craig. Craig was the first to correctly identify the time period in which David Fiafia was a great running back for USU, and that was between 2000 and 2003. And he did a lot for the Aggies, mostly running back, but he caught the ball out of the backfield. I believe he did some stuff on returns, part of the return game. But David Fiafia had a great career at Utah State, came back as an offensive graduate assistant, and now he's a tight ends coach at Weber State. Kind of a sad story. I don't know all the details, but I think one of his children has cancer. It's a tough story there, but it'll be good to have him back in the stadium here where a lot of fans can remember him and his time here and show their outpouring of support for he and his family. But a lot of calls coming through, a lot of different guesses. But Craig was the first one to get it correct on the time that David Fiafia was a great running back at Utah State.
Yeah, so the big year was 2003. That was the one time he had more than 200 yards rushing. He had 2 different seasons with 300 yards receiving. That was the interesting thing, is that talk about him as a running back, but his first season as a freshman, he ran the ball only 3 times, but he had 31 catches. And that last year he kind of combined running for 900 yards, had like 300 receiving yards, so he had 1,200 yards from scrimmage. Probably one of only a handful of real dual threat running backs Utah State's had in quite a while. Like Kerwin Williams is probably maybe the only other one.
Yeah, and he's not a big guy. He was pretty small, but he was versatile and shifty, and had a nice career for USU. Over 1,000 yards on his career, 9 touchdowns, but 80 receptions for 700 yards and a couple of touchdowns too.
Yeah, so 1,900 scrimmage yards in a career, which is good.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our one of the many Utah State Weber State connections going into this Saturday's matchup. Can we play a little bit of audio just on that?
If you really want to.
We'll get to the NFL in just a minute. But Hayden Meacham was made available. Weber State held a press conference, And we heard from his brother Wade, who plays for the Aggies. But Hayden actually played some defensive end in high school and really liked playing that position. Now he plays the tight end position for Weber State. He's an all-conference player at that position. He's a good player. But there's been a little bit of smack talk going around about maybe he could get in for at least one play to line up against his brother. This is what he had to say about it.
I've talked a little bit to Coach Hill about it, and he's been joking about it with me a little bit. I know my dad would love to see it. My mom said she's going to go to the bathroom if that happens because she doesn't want to see it. So if the opportunity comes up, I would love it. If not, I know I have a role to do on offense. So, either way, I'd be excited just to get out there and play his team.
Okay, and here's what his coach, just as Jay Hill, what he said about the possibility of some Meacham on Meacham crime Saturday night on Merlin Olsen Field.
I got to decide if he's really going to win that battle. If I think he's going to win one-on-one on a critical third down, heck yeah, we'll put him in there against his brother. I would have loved to have gone against my older brother. So it's an opportunity for the younger brother to finally get one up on the older brother. So, well, who knows what will happen.
I feel like he was taking that question way too seriously. It's like, if he's going to make a difference on third down, then yeah. Except he couldn't line up as a defensive end because Meacham plays guard. If you're a defensive end, you're lining up that far inside. Well, you're not a defensive end anymore.
No.
You're a defensive tackle.
Yeah. I think there may be a bit of a size difference there, too.
How big is Hayden?
I close out of screens right before you asked me the
Come
questions.
on. Why would you do that?
I know.
Now I got to Google it myself.
We'll get to it.
I'm almost there.
You may get to it before I do. It's a race now.
Hayden might be taller based on the height listing. I think Meacham's Hayden. Wade, I think, is 6'3", 6'4". Hayden's listed at 6'5", although Wade definitely has him on weight because I think he's close to 300 pounds. And Hayden's listed at 245. Which is typical of a tight end. You're going to be around that weight for a tight end. Then interior guards are going to be bulkier in the 300-pound range.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not too far off. Not too far off.
245 is typical for a defensive end in a lot of smaller schools. Like Utah State's defense, like Grichik's, I think, like 240, maybe even 230. He's not a very big guy.
Yeah, he's not a very big guy.
And I don't think Vaughn's is that much. I don't know if he breaks too high over 240 himself.
He's definitely they're using speed over power.
Yeah, you don't get these 270 defensive ends in the Mountain West that can also, run like a 4.5.
Right.
The kind that you get in the
and
SEC.
Power.
Yeah.
5338. Isn't Gary Anderson also on Weber's staff in some type of advisory capacity?
Yeah, I read that out, and I talked about how they brought him on last year. I just couldn't confirm if he was still there.
Right. Yeah, I know he was doing that last year, but I don't know if he's still there. We'll see if we can find that. They didn't list him in the connections.
Yeah, I tried to see if
I don't know how many advisors they would list anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if those are even paid positions, so he's not going to show up on the coaching staff. It's kind of hard to nail those down.
Right, because he has limited – there are limits as to what he can do on the field with the players and in practices and things like that. So it's I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't list him in the notes like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, interesting side notes there. But again, congratulations to Craig. He got the answer for David Fia, 2000 to 2003. Let's take a timeout here on the Full Court Press, and let's just finish off some of our thoughts about the NFL.
Begin them?
Well, we kind of flirted with them the start of last hour, and then we have some other updates that we wanted to get through. With other things that are going on. And a little bit later on, we'll have our Pick 6, the 6 things we think might happen this weekend. 435-339-0321 if you want to continue to chime in here on the Full Court Press.
Back to school means back to massive laundry piles. Get a washer that can handle your busy laundry schedule. Head to Daryl's today for a deal worth your time. This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance, and we have a GE front-load laundry pair with a 4.8 cubic foot washer and a 7.8 cubic foot dryer for only $17.96 for the pair. Hurry! Stock is limited. See store for details. Daryl's Appliance, service and sales west on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
This is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. We are humbled by and grateful for the tremendous support we have been shown since opening our doors nearly 2 years ago. So we just want to say thank you. On behalf of everyone at White Pine, first and foremost, thank you for allowing us the honor and privilege of serving you and caring for your loved ones. Additionally, thank you for voting White Pine the best mortuary in Cache Valley in both 2021 and 2022.
White Pine Funeral Services, here when you need us most.
For more than a decade, Integrity Home Health and Hospice has been changing patient lives, outcomes, futures, and now we're changing our name. Integrity is now proud to be called Aegis Home Health and Hospice. Aegis, A-E-G-I-S. At Aegis, we're dedicated to compassion, character, and trust. We will ensure you experience the difference as we meet your home health and hospice needs. I'm Melissa Fieser. Our team promises to go above and beyond with compassion and care. Call us today, 435-723-9000, or find us online at myaegis.com.
The Young Automotive Group is proud to announce Young Truck and Trailer Center in Cache Valley. Whether it's heavy equipment trailers, horse trailers, race car trailers, or cargo and utility trailers, we're excited to offer some of the finest trailers and flatbed work trucks to Cache Valley. Our team of experts look forward to helping you find the right truck or trailer to fit your needs, with competitive prices offered on every make and model for sale on our lot. With our extensive inventory, you'll find the best deals right here in Cache Valley. Young Truck and Trailer Center, just off Highway 89 in Logan. Think young, drive young.
Sunday on Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. It's a Week 1 matchup of two Super Bowl contenders as Patrick Mahomes leads the Chiefs against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Hi, this is Chris Carino. Join Brian Baldinger and me for all the action as we kick off the new season in style with two of the league's top quarterbacks dueling in the desert. It's the Arizona Cardinals and the Kansas City Chiefs. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Grantham Mobile Automotive is fast and affordable. Come to you whether your vehicle is at your home or if your car got left stranded at work or left you stranded somewhere or somewhere else. Maybe at school, but give him a call. He'll come to where your car is or come to where you need that service to take place. 435-229-4345. So the NFL kicks off tonight. It's 6:20 on NBC. As you heard the promo there during the break, we're going to have the Cardinals, Chiefs and Cardinals game on the Fan over the weekend on Sunday. And that'll be fun to have a number of NFL games part of our weekend lineup here on the Fan. But as we kind of look at the upcoming season, we already talked a little bit about who we predict could be there in the at the end in the Super Bowl. I feel like it's kind of a cop-out, but in the end, there's a reason why I kind of agree with a lot of others that it's, in my mind, the Rams and the Bills when it comes down to it. But, Jason, who do you see in the Super Bowl?
So one of my rules is to try and never pick either of the two teams who were in last year's Super Bowl. I do actually break this rule for myself this year, mainly because I just have a hard time seeing anybody other than the Rams coming out of the NFC. It'll probably happen, but I'm just not seeing it. Out of the AFC, I will never attempt to depend upon the Bills to do anything good. And them being the overwhelming favorites, I don't see them making the Super Bowl, especially given their playoff performances where they're always coming up short, specifically to the Chiefs. That's who I have making the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people are down on them more than they should be. And I don't think the Chiefs are going to end up with the number 1 seed, maybe not even the 2 seed, depending on how much the AFC West kind of cannibalizes itself. But I think they'll come through in the playoffs. They got the best quarterback The only other argument is maybe Josh Allen, but Patrick Mahomes has performed the best, at least in the AFC playoffs. He's had some dubious Super Bowl performances. But I like the Chiefs to come out of the AFC, and I can't be confident in the Packers because they consistently fail in the playoffs. And the Buccaneers may just be too beat up. And I don't think anybody else in the NFC, maybe if the 49ers, they could, I think, be the surprise.
So that was what I was going to ask you. Like, who would you see as a dark horse candidate that maybe could surprise and be there in contention?
Yeah, it would be the 49ers. Because if Trey Lance is solid, 49ers could very easily get him. Because 49ers made the NFC title game with Jimmy Garoppolo, who's decent. And so if Trey Lance is able to be decent and maybe open up the offense a little bit more and add a little bit more than Jimmy Garoppolo did, even if maybe the performance level is similar, 49ers could make a couple more plays, be in the Super Bowl.
For me, this is an outside shot, but I would go with the Philadelphia Eagles. Just the kind of momentum that they started to build at the tail end of last year, and Jalen Hurts gets more confidence in that role. Just see how that continues to develop. That could be an interesting dark horse candidate that people shouldn't overlook.
Yeah, I don't trust Jalen Hurts enough to make enough plays in the playoffs. Kind of for a similar reason why I may not be picking the Ravens. If I didn't go with the Chiefs, I might almost go with the Ravens out of the AFC. Maybe the Bills after the Chiefs, but Ravens kind of up there. Just because I like to be contrarian, because that's my philosophy, because sometimes you have to be contrarian, because then you're almost more likely to be right. Because if you pick the consensus favorites never make it in.
They don't deliver.
Yeah, see, it's like picking your March Madness bracket. You have to just pick upsets somewhere because they're going to happen.
That's right.
So that's kind of my thoughts.
So your dark horse out of the AFC would be?
It'd be the Ravens.
The Ravens.
Because I can't pick the Bills to be my dark horse.
See, for me, I've been thinking a lot about the Chargers. Just more experience with Herbert. That team with that coach. I know they've fallen short a few times here recently, but I want to pick Kansas City. I want to pick Baltimore, but with Kansas City, Tyreek Hill's not there anymore, and that could be really problematic, not having that option. And is Lamar Jackson going to be able to stay healthy down the stretch? But just more time in the NFL system, I think that Herbert could be somebody that could make it interesting in the AFC.
So you want to know my thoughts on the Chargers? I was picking through and I was looking at who are the most overrated and underrated teams. You know how I picked as my most overrated team?
The Chargers?
The Chargers of Los Angeles, of maybe Anaheim, of Los Angeles, of Angels of Anaheim.
Of Carson.
Carson. Yeah, the LA Chargers, in my opinion, the most overrated team. I may have gone with the Bengals for that, because I actually think there's a decent chance the Bengals missed the playoffs. Super Bowl hangovers are a real thing, especially for the team that loses. There's other parts about the Bengals that worry me. But for the Chargers, not only is there the history of always failing.
That's going against them.
You know which team missed the playoffs last year? With Justin Herbert? With that coach? The Chargers.
It was all learning experience to prepare them for this year.
Herbert wasn't the problem. That's the thing. And I believe they missed the playoffs on the last game of the season. But Herbert wasn't the problem. He was thrown for 5,000 yards last season. Just barely, but he did it. And in 17 games. But, he wasn't the problem. Maybe he can learn and be a little bit better. But the path to the playoffs got harder for them. And they didn't get significantly better. They did add a corner out of New England who will help their defense. But it's not like they had a superstar corner. He wasn't a superstar. He was a good corner.
Right.
So it got harder for them. Are they going to beat the Chiefs once or twice? Are they going to beat the Raiders twice? Are they going to beat the Broncos twice? Because they'd have to do just about that. If they split, they're almost at risk of missing the playoffs. If they split with each of those teams.
It's a really tough path.
And so they'll be lucky to win 4 games, might not even win 4 games in their division out of the 6 they play. Then the rest of the AFC, the Ravens are going to have, an easier time. Maybe the Steelers, even though they're not probably as good as the Chargers, their record may end up being better. The Patriots are going to be, they're not going to have as hard a path as the Chargers. It's very possible the Chargers miss the playoffs again with Justin Herbert. So to pick them for the Super Bowl, that's a stretch.
You don't like my dark horse.
Yeah. And a lot of people like the Chargers. There's people who are picking them to win the Super Bowl. But
I don't have that much faith in them.
Yeah, I don't like them. I wouldn't be too surprised. I'd be a little surprised if they made the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they made the playoffs. But I wouldn't pen them into the playoffs. I'd write it lightly in pencil.
And then looking at overrated.
So who do you think's overrated?
Underrated, whatnot.
Let's get your ideas.
I think an overrated team this year, I think what's going on with Miami is a little overrated. Everybody's going gaga over Tua's progression and how he's progressing as a player, adding Tyreek Hill. But I think there's a lot of smoke there that they're blowing, and I don't know that there's a lot of proof yet. And I'm not buying the Miami hype right now.
Did you see that throw they put out of Tua to Tyreek Hill, where he underthrew him by like 3 yards? They were trying to promote how the Tua to Tyreek, and he like underthrew him on the highlight pass they put out. Yeah, I'm with you. Miami, obviously they're not getting the love that the Chargers are getting, but they are getting more love than they should get.
Right.
Especially with Tua. Unless Tua suddenly comes out of nowhere, like Mac Jones has a better chance of breaking out, in my opinion, than Tua. I don't think either of them are going to have any sort of super breakout season this year. But yeah, I'd be more likely to see that out of Mac Jones than out of Tua. Even though Tua's got the weapons, but you got to be able to get it there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But most accurate passer in the NFL.
Right. In the NFC, is there a team that's more overrated?
I didn't pick one for each conference. I had 2 in the AFC.
2 in the AFC?
I didn't have anyone for the NFC. Maybe the Packers, just in that everyone still thinks they can make the Super Bowl, despite all the evidence to the contrary, that they probably won't. Although now that I say that, they're probably going to, just because the football gods want to spite me. But who's Aaron Rodgers throwing to?
Right.
He'll still put up numbers, but
that's the big question.
They had a huge problem with Devontae Adams last season because he was the only guy they could throw to, and teams were able to key in on that and stop them. And then Aaron Rodgers kind of choked a little bit this year, and he's done that a few times in the playoffs in recent years. So why do we keep picking the Packers when recently they have about as much playoff success as the Chargers? At least in terms of getting all the way. The Packers have been actually to the NFC Championship game a lot of times.
True.
Much better than the Chargers, twice, I think, in the last 15 years. But, what are you seeing out of the Packers that makes you think they can get to the Super Bowl? They're worse than last year, and they bowed out earlier last year.
I think their defense may be marginally better, but their running game is not better. Their passing game is likely not to be better.
Yeah. It's not a huge step back, but they took a step back.
They took a step back.
And so
you're going to be relying on a lot of unproven product. Lazard, is he going to be your Romeo Doubs? Is he going to be your leading guy?
Yeah.
I mean, he has potential, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, they're going to be a good team. They're probably going to win the NFC North. But, what are you seeing that's going to get them through the playoffs that they couldn't do last year or the year before or the year before, the year before that, going all the way back to 2010? I just don't see it out of the Packers. I see a good team with a great quarterback. But I don't see them getting through the playoffs.
So trying to predict the overrated, underrated. Well, we haven't really talked. We talked dark horse teams, so that'll be our underrated picks. But Super Bowl. But what about MVP? What player is going to stand out this year? Who's in a position to be the MVP for the NFL?
MVP is tricky because you have to talk about storylines and how good they are. Because that's just how the media does MVPs. That's why Derrick Rose has an MVP is because of storylines.
Yeah.
So, and also kind of Russell Westbrook. And then in the NFL, I don't know. There was a year where like second-year quarterbacks were the thing for like back-to-back years with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. That's why Kyler Murray, like the next year, he was a second-year quarterback. So tons of people bet on him because that was the thing. Second-year quarterbacks winning MVP. But honestly, when looking at those two things, I think Josh Allen has a really good chance of winning MVP this year. I know he's one of the favorites, and I usually don't like doing that because, again, consensuses are a bad thing to follow when trying to predict these things. But, he hasn't won MVP before, which is a huge deal. People don't like giving MVPs to people again and again. I mean, it just happened with Aaron Rodgers, but that's pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Brady hasn't won it in a while. So, even though he's been statistically good. So, he hasn't won it before. He's got that narrative of, being the next thing for the Bills. The Bills could have the best record in the AFC, which is a huge factor in my opinion. It's why Aaron Rodgers won it over Tom Brady last year. Tom Brady was statistically better. Aaron Rodgers had the number 1 seed. He wins the MVP.
Better record, yeah.
So that's why I think Josh Allen has a big thing, because he could have a lot of wins, will be statistically up there with the best if he's healthy, passing and rushing. That'll be a thing people fawn over in the MVP conversation is, Josh Allen does both. He does a lot of passing and a lot of running. And so there's just all those things. I think it's playing out very well for a Josh Allen MVP season.
I like that pick also. Because as I said earlier, I see Buffalo as the best team coming out of the AFC going to the Super Bowl. Best player and the best team. I don't normally like that argument, but I think that they are there because of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
If I were to give a dark horse MVP candidate, Derek Carr could be an interesting one to watch. With Adams moving there, teaming up with his old college buddy, that Raiders team could be a really interesting team to watch this year. They had a lot of distractions last year, and they still came through with a decent record, considering massive distractions on that team, both on the field and off.
Yeah, made the playoffs over the Chargers.
Right.
And the Raiders got better.
Yes.
Probably more improvements from the Raiders than the Chargers. And so that's why when you look at, the Raiders were kind of one of my underrated teams. Not that they were dark horse Super Bowl, but underrated in that they seem to be one of the, picked last in the AFC West. Them or the Broncos, depending on who you ask.
Mm-hmm.
Would be surprised if the Raiders finish second or even win the division. Wouldn't want to predict that, but it could happen.
It could happen.
They said the Raiders got better, and Derek Carr, I don't know if I could pick him for MVP unless they do win the division. That could win Derek Carr MVP, is leading them to 11, 12 wins.
If they win that division, then you have to strongly consider Derek Carr as the
situation
MVP.
That's a situation where Derek Carr could win it. Again, I wouldn't want to predict that. And my thing is, dark horse MVP candidates are, before the season, you can kind of have a dark horse MVP candidate. Although once you get to like week 7, there's no such thing as a dark horse MVP candidate anymore. Because usually you've already decided it by week 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's true.
Or at least the top 3.
At least you're right. It's very narrowed field now.
So you can predict the MVP. After the season's over, you can predict the MVP with almost 100% confidence. Because everybody's already decided it, even the last 3 weeks. That's why it's kind of a shame. There's no longer any drama as to who's the MVP. The only drama you get is right now when we have no clue.
Yeah, but it's all open.
Or the
totally
first
open field.
Or the first 2 or 3 weeks, Jameis Winston MVP when he started off week 1 last year. It's no. Or all the Kyler Murray for the first 6 weeks, or Russell Wilson for the first 7 weeks.
Old face, new place. Russell Wilson in Denver. Do you think it's going to work?
Oh yeah, it'll work fine. He'll do all right. Like I said, the division's going to be crazy. Any one of those teams could actually end up winning the division. And it's because they've all got good quarterbacks. They've all got good weapons. None of them have terrible defenses. Some of them have good defenses. So it's just going to depend on some luck, who's the healthiest, and just good old-fashioned football gods having some fun.
Could the same thing play out in Carolina with the Panthers? With Baker Mayfield?
Oh, nothing close to what's going to happen in Denver. Denver will actually turn themselves around. Panthers just might be okay with Baker.
Denver just needed a quarterback.
Yeah, they had everything but a quarterback. The Panthers have a running back. And now Baker. That's what they have.
Yeah, not necessarily a huge upgrade, but it's an upgrade.
Yeah, they have some defensive pieces, but so they'll probably be better than last season, especially if McCaffrey stays healthy, which I hope he does. I have him on like 2 fantasy teams, so he better stay healthy.
For personal reasons.
Yeah, so he needs to do good and stay healthy. Yeah, the Panthers could be okay if I'm trying to think what their chances to win the division. They're not great because the Saints are still going to be decent. They won like 9 games last year. Then the Buccaneers would have to collapse. That's the only way the Panthers really have a chance of winning that division.
Yeah, it's not an easy path for them.
They won't finish 4th. Or, wait. Oh, yeah, Atlanta's the one. For some reason, I was thinking the Jaguars. I was thinking the AFC South. But the NFC South does have the Falcons, and they're going to finish last in that division.
Well, if any other thoughts about the NFL as it's kicking off tonight? 6:20 on NBC.
I think that's just about it. Just football season is officially completely here now.
Yeah, high school's been going for a while. College has been going now for a few weeks. Now the NFL gets underway tonight. It is the best time of the year.
So we've got the full slate of Thursday through Monday, 4 days of the week. We have football. Or wait a minute, Thursday, Saturday. What am I missing here?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh,
Monday.
5.
That's
like,
5.
hold on. Math's not my. I was trying to think like, all right, the 2 days.
That's why we're in broadcasting.
I was trying to I was doing the math and then I went to like, all right, what are the days in between? I was like, Tuesday and Wednesday. Wait, that's not 3. So
5879. Sorry, just getting to this text. Is there any way to stream this game? I have youth football conflicts. If you're talking about the game tonight, I don't know.
I think he texted that in way back when we were talking about Utah State.
Oh, it'll be on the Mountain West Network.
Sounds like somebody who didn't read my preview because I mentioned in there where you can stream it.
Yeah, Mountain West Network is where you can watch that game online.
Yeah, and you can get it on. I believe Utah State's athletic website will have basically an embed of that you can watch.
Gotcha. Okay. Quick timeout on the full court press. When we come back, pick 6 time. Trying to predict the 6 things that might happen this weekend. Stick around. That's coming up next.
Life is hard, so making sure you find that perfect woman is important. You need someone that will be by your side through the good and the bad. Once you have found her, show her that she is special with a beautiful diamond ring from Jerix. Yes, it is all about the romance. At Jerix, you won't find a more intimate setting. Where you purchase the ring might not be as important as who you choose to marry, but it's pretty close.
Jerix Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jerix.
Cold weather is here. Let the gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah's fireplace category help you update your home with Heat and Glow's full line of gas or wood-burning products. Building a new home? Let the professionals at Advanced Fireplace and Stove design and install your fireplace. From traditional to modern, Heat and Glow has something for every design and every budget. Install a product that will allow your family to make memories for years to come. Stop by at their showroom or visit them at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Hey, it's Jackson with Mountain West Motor, inviting you to check out our new location at 615 North Main in Logan. If you're looking for a rig that will turn heads on the road, each vehicle on our lot has been customized and built for your adventure. Whether it's hauling kids, hauling trailers, or roaming in the mountains, choose from our collection of trucks and SUVs at Mountain West Motor like no other dealership in Cache Valley. Visit us at mwmotor.com. Mountain West Motor, built for your adventure.
I'm here with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden. Mark, can you tell us a little about your experience with ChemDry of Northern Utah?
You know, our carpets get really dirty at Anderson Seed and Garden, and we clean every January. Our timing is kind of difficult. I called Daryl, and he was amazing to work around our schedule. They came in and cleaned our carpets. They looked like brand new when they were all done, and they've just been amazing to work with.
ChemDry of Northern Utah. ChemDry of Northern Utah. 435-752-6100.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way.
It's the Full Court Press Pick 6.
Ever since March Madness ended, I am so bored.
6 things we think will happen this weekend.
I don't know how the whole betting thing started, but it's fun.
To be clear, we're not betting. We're just trying to predict what might happen this weekend.
I don't know. Last week's thing cost me a bag of nerd rope things.
There might be some friendly exchange of treats or something like that.
And it cost me the frame of my most prolific writer award.
Very famous.
And
award.
A piece of paper from the office here. So it cost the company money. Your win is costing this company money. And ink.
Okay, so 3 things we think might happen this weekend.
Well, 6 things.
Wow, 3 from me, 3 from you, yes. They put them together, they make 6.
Hey, that's the name of the game.
Since I won, I'm going to defer and have Jason go first.
Okay. That's 2 weeks of me going first in a row, I think. First one, pretty basic. Utah State points scored versus Weber State. So just Utah State. Over under 42.5.
Ooh, I'm going to take the under.
I'm also taking the under. Rushing yards by Calvin Tyler Jr. Over under 135.5.
How much?
135.5.
I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the over. And then third and final one, touchdowns responsible for by Josh Allen tonight. So passing, rushing, receiving, returning, any touchdown that he has a hand in. Over under 3.5.
Ooh, I'm gonna. Whoa, that's a good one. I'm gonna take the under.
I'm gonna take the over.
Wow. Okay. All right. Fresno State is hosting Oregon State this weekend. Fresno State by 0.5.
I'm gonna take the over.
I'm gonna take the under. Ugh.
So you got a tie. Or Oregon State win.
Tie or lose. Just name who will be the leading receiver for Utah State.
Yards or receptions.
Ooh.
You got to specify.
I will specify. I'll say in yards.
Yards? I'm going to go with Cobbs. Brian Cobbs.
Okay, I'm going to go with McGriff. And then final one for me. The Mountain West wins over P5 opponents this weekend.
Doing this thing again. Who's playing?
I got to set the line at 0.5.
0.5. So, well, I guess I have to take the over. I have Fresno State beating Oregon. Is that the only one that's being played, or are there 2?
No, there's a couple.
Okay. Well, I guess that's not going to change my answer, seeing them. Air Force against Colorado. I'm pretty confident. I think that can happen. UNLV's not beating Cal. I think there's a decent chance Air Force can beat Colorado or Fresno State can beat.
Fresno State and Oregon State. Air Force and Colorado. It's probably more likely.
Yeah, one of those 2 is decently likely.
I'm going to take the over.
Okay, Air Force is favored by 18 points over Colorado.
Yeah. All right, I actually don't have a tiebreaker, but I understand you do.
I guess it's my responsibility to come with a tiebreaker. I think I have 6 or 7
You've got 'em in
potential
spades.
picks. Yeah, I've got my 3 and then backups and a tiebreaker. So the tiebreaker, predict the number of yards Tom Brady throws versus the Cowboys. It's just straight up pick a number. Easier to do a tiebreaker that way.
Tom Brady yards versus the Cowboys?
Yeah. So it's a Sunday night football matchup is the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. Just predict how many yards Tom Brady throws. Whoever's closest wins.
241.
I have 278. Again, the unsporting thing would be to pick 242. But I have a number here, and I have to go with that. Just to be, got to make this fun.
Right, okay.
Because if he throws in like the 260s, then it gets interesting.
That's true.
I got to see if there's a tie potential. What did you say again?
241.
241? I don't think a tie is possible with that.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to tie on the tiebreaker.
next down the line. All right, so that's our pick six for this week. We'll recap it on Monday, see how close we were, and see and recap the things that happened over the weekend for the Mountain West and the NFL. Another quick timeout. When we come back, some additional thoughts for Utah State and Weber State. Also, catching up on some former and current Jazzmen involved in some international basketball. I'll update you on that next in the Full Court Press.
Boys and Girls Club of Northern Utah invites you to form a team and play in their second annual scramble for the Structure Golf Tournament. It's set for October 3rd, 10 a.m. at the Logan Golf and Country Club. The $1,000 foursome fee includes golf, cart, and prime rib lunch after. All proceeds go towards creating a new Boys and Girls Club structure in Cache County. Contact the club in Brigham City or call Jenny Schultz at 435-723-6224. That's the Boys and Girls Club Scramble for the Structure Golf Tournament, October 3rd.
DD Auto and Salvage is going to pay you the most for junk vehicles. You can get rid of your junk vehicles today. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204.
Today. See store for details.
Have you thought about your furnace lately? Of course not. It's hot outside. Now's a great time to start thinking about replacing it or having it serviced for fall and winter. Advanced Heating and Air will help you get some of the industry's best rebates on a new high-efficient York furnace installed in your home. Or one of Advanced Heating and Air's service professionals can service your furnace for the upcoming winter season. Call today, 752-7272, or schedule a free estimate at advancedheating-ac.com. York, install confidence.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Mountain West Motor is Logan's newest truck and SUV dealership at 615 North Main. Great selection of trucks and SUVs, specially customized for your next adventure. Check out what they have on their lots right now, or check it out online, mwmotor.com. So a number of current Jazz players, new Jazz players, playing internationally. Lauri Markkanen, great showing in his game against the Netherlands. Been a big showing for him in just a short amount of time. What was it, like 22 points? I can't remember the exact line. I had it, now I've moved off of it.
I can pull it up. I have some of this stuff. But he's doing really well in the Eurobasket, I think. Or there's World Cup qualifiers, and there's also Eurobasket that's going on right now, I think.
Yes. So Lauri was playing in. He's a new player coming over from Cleveland. He showed out well for his home country of Finland.
So against the Netherlands, he had in 18 minutes, he had 22 points, only 3 rebounds. But again, not too much to do in 18 minutes rebounding wise. Went 4 of 6 from 3, 7-11 overall.
I saw some highlights. He looked good. Yeah, but against the Netherlands.
Yeah, there's people that are overreacting. Some people I know that are overreacting to these lines, because you look at the 3 Jazz players that are in Eurobasket, at least the ones that I'm for sure. I may have missed somebody. There's a lot of international, but I think these 3 are the only European ones specifically. So Markkanen, he's averaging almost 25 points a game in like 5 games. Fontecchio is averaging almost 20 in 4 or 5 games. Then Bojan Bogdanovic is about 18 and a half. But people are overreacting to Fontecchio and Markkanen because like they're doing really well. But again, this is European
Consider
basketball.
the competition.
Yeah, it's like if they went under the G League, they'd put up these numbers because they're clearly better than the competition they're playing.
But that is also encouraging that they are playing well considering the competition. If they were giving us low numbers against that level of competition, there'd be heightened sense of concern.
Yeah, it is nice to see that they are capable of these numbers. It's a not bad sign. But don't overreact to this because they're not going to come to the NBA and do this. Markkanen's good for about 14, 15, depending on his role. Last year he was, I think, around 15 points a game in a lower role. He's not going to do what he's doing here, where Fontecchio and Markkanen are basically the best players on their team. So, of course, they're going to do this.
Right.
Somebody's got to put up numbers, and these guys are doing it. Because they're good basketball players.
Right.
There's reason they're in the NBA, especially Markkanen. But don't think they're going to walk in and be stars. I mean, I saw one person that said that the front court of Jared Vanderbilt, Lauri Markkanen, and Simone Fontecchio is going to be a problem. A problem for who? The Rockets?
Not yet.
Like,
Not yet.
that's probably the worst front court in the NBA right there. If that's who you're starting three guys, small forward, power forward, and center. That's the worst front court in the NBA.
Very unproven.
Yeah. One guy who's fringe NBA in Fontecchio, Vanderbilt who's a bench player, and Markkanen who's a fringe starter. Don't overreact to what's going on right now. Please. Enjoy it. Please enjoy it.
Yeah.
But don't overreact.
Don't overreact. It's nice to see it. It's good to see what they're doing. By the way, the Utah Jazz and the Cleveland Cavaliers finally officially announced the trade with Donovan Mitchell, Colin Sexton, and everybody else. So it's now official. It's done. And so are we.